when I rode for Globe, they were trying to dictate what I was going to do. They're like, we don't want you riding for Monster Energy drink. They're trying to, that's when Appleyard kind of came in and Mark Appleyard, and they brought in like Ian Deacon and Jeremy Fox, and they're restructuring Globe. And they actually went and they cut my pay in half. And that's where we went, because they didn't think I could get another shoe deal. And then that's at that same timing when I was hanging out with Tall and Benji and Joel and those guys up in LA that I met David Nichols, which is the owner's son. Stephen Nichols is the owner, but the owner's son, David. And we kind of just like, broke down and was like, dude, let's create this. So I wasn't ever listening even to the brands that were paying me back then.
I'm tracking.
Of the moves that they wanted me to do. And guys like Paul McEnroe and Glia were. And then all of a sudden everything's under one roof, right? Paul McEnroe's with Globe, Glia's with Globe. They're also with Darkstar. They get cut from both brands.
Yeah, no, I know. That's actually that was common.
Unbelievable.
I think that's common for a lot of skaters.
Yeah.
Where you have sponsorships, and those sponsorships are trying to protect their brand.
Correct.
So they're trying to influence like kind of what you do, right?
Yes.
And you saw the example. I mean, even you saw this with Tosh, right?
Yeah.
It's like he got
put all of his eggs in one basket.
Yeah, and then one cut and your career's over, right?
Yeah. And what's funny about that story too is like I was signing with whatever Monster. I think I was with Monster at the time, and then all of a sudden about 6 months later, I see a flip ad. It said powered by Field the Feast Tour, powered by Monster Energy Drink. Yeah. And I'm like, these are the dudes that wanted me to leave the brand that was paying me, a really good amount at that time. And it's just kind of funny how the skate industry works. So going back to what you were saying earlier, like it's very important to, to build the brand that you feel deep inside that you want to build and not worry about what other people think you should be building. Does that make sense? 100%. And now I think about my life of how do I look at the end goal and I build backwards now because I'm in real estate and I invest and like what amount do I need to get to of passive income where I'm going to be able to be like financially because everyone has different amounts of what they spend or how the lifestyle they want to live. So I think backwards now. And that's why I got really deep into buying real estate. Well, my neighbor got me into it, but then I started realizing like, oh my gosh, I'm making all this passive income from all these properties and most of my properties are completely paid off. This is working. And now I look at it like, okay, kind of like how I was doing with skateboarding. I was 10Xing my career of like making money riding for corporate companies. That's how I think about my investing and my strategy on that. But going back to like skating, I mean, yeah, there was people saying shit, but I think now, I did the 9 Club episode and even like Chris Ortiz came up to me. He's like, dude, that episode, like you kind of said it, you set motherfuckers straight and like who got the last laugh now? You know what I mean? Because it's like they were talking shit now, but the same people that are talking shit back then are probably not at the point of life or took their career where they could have, or they didn't take the opportunity back then to ride for those brands. And they're like, well, now all these skaters do ride for corporate companies. Now these dudes do have drink deals. Now these dudes do have corporate shoe deals. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's right. So for K-Swiss, right? Like, you had some of the corporate sponsors, Monster, but when K-Swiss broke, that he was going
to We made noise in the industry.
I was a pro at this point, right?
Yeah.
I went, no way. Like,
Yeah.
I was like mind blown. Like, there's no chance. And then the dollar amount got floated around. And what we heard was he signed $1 million a year for 10 years.
It was a big deal.
Right?
It was, and they gave me a good buyout for sure. Like,
so here's my first one.
Yeah.
You did the deal. You arguably became one of the highest paid pros at that time.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it was
and by the way that we negotiated the deals with some of these companies, including K-Swiss and Rockstar, when I would win contests. So like at the Money Maloof Cup, I won 160 grand. They would match it. So that day I won 500 grand from my matchings from these companies.
Yeah.
And back then it was like if you look at a brand like K-Swiss, some brands will put a cap, right? So like you can only get to a certain point. So if you win X Games at 50 grand, we're going to cap you out for the year at a 50. There was no cap. So it was like, and at that time I was skating a lot of contests. I mean, I was filming a lot of video parts, but I was also skating a lot of contests and winning Dew Tours, X Games, I was skating everything. The European contests, all that stuff.
So when you were only skating, what was the most amount of money you made in 1 year? Do you remember the number?
Oh, man. When I was making that kind of money, I wouldn't even go pick up the checks, to be honest.
An idea. Like, what do you think, if you even had to take a stab at it, did you have a year where you cleared $2 million?
Yes. Yes. I mean, we were doing good, obviously we're doing good. The one thing that I look back that I wish I would have done when I was younger is started investing earlier.
Okay, so
and I was investing back then, but I wish I was investing more.
Right.
And if there's anything that I could look back and reteach myself or teach a new pro coming up or someone that's actually making money in skating or doing anything they love in general, is to invest earlier on in life, and that will take care of you later on in life, because you're not gonna be able to skate forever, right? And if you don't know how to go buy real estate or areas where to buy, because you can lose your ass in this game too, invest with the commune capital like what you guys are doing, and let you guys manage this and get, obviously there's going to be a higher return if you invest yourself and buy your own real estate, but there's a lot more risk with that too, and you're going to have a lot more to manage. And work with like a brand that you guys have built, I think is really cool and powerful, and have different sectors. You got multifamily, then you got storage, so they can choose or they can diversify their portfolio under one roof.
Okay, so yeah, 100%. So you're starting to have some big years. You start investing right from there. I know you wish you would have invested more. We all do.
Yeah.
But you started investing, right?
Yeah, and thank God I met like my neighbor Ben that got me into buying real estate. Because if I wouldn't have bought that house in Mission Viejo, I wouldn't have met Ben. And how I met Ben was like, I'm like, oh, what do you do for a living? He's like, oh, I'm retired, but I play Monopoly. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, oh, I buy real estate. I go, where? He goes, in Arizona. What you bought this place for right here next to you? You can buy a good little portfolio over there in Arizona. Because at the time we were buying these condos for 50, 60 grand. Now they're worth almost 200. They were just little 2-bedroom condos, and I was buying a bunch of them.
So you had your condo in Huntington when you were 19.
I lived there for about a year and a half, and then I started renting it out. And we still have a renter in there. That thing I've been renting out for 20-some years now.
What was the next piece of property you bought? Arizona?
No, Mission Viejo. The house in Mission Viejo. It was the one with the mini ramp and had the big pool.
Yeah.
That was a 10,000 square foot lot, 6-bedroom home. That's where Hoops moved in with me.
Right.
And that's where I met my neighbor Ben that got me investing originally into real estate and ultimately changed my life.
Okay, so then from there, then you started going into the Arizona market.
Then I got in the Arizona market. Then I bought another house in Lake Forest, where I'm at now. And that neighbor got me investing into the Midwest, where he was buying. And before that, I bought a Airbnb in basically right across the street from Coachella.
If you like this clip and want to see more like it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you want to watch the full episode, the link will be in the description. Or if you like audio, make sure you are subscribed to the Life with Mikey podcast on Spotify and Apple.